Hi, I'll be going through my Roaring Twenties presentation and basically pointing out ways that I follow the rubric and other ways I try to make it easier on myself when presenting in front of the class. So I'll be going through my presentation, and then once I do that, I'll go back and kind of point out things that I did. And yeah, so I'm just going to get started. Today I'll be talking about Theda Bara, the first vampire and sex symbol in Hollywood cinema. So, what was a vamp? Well, a vamp was a role in movies in which women drained the money, dignity, and power out of the men or the fools that fell in love with her. So, a vampire wasn't really a bloodthirsty monster per se that was killing people, but rather a seductress that seduced men for their money and for their power. So to market this image of being a vampire, Theda Bara, she wore a lot of dark makeup, as you can see here. She wore dark kohl under the eyes and dark lipstick, and she even wore revealing and skimpy clothing. And she posed with things like crows, dead things, animal stuff to kind of market this image of being a vampire, as well as highlighting her exoticism, because her marketing campaign at the time was basically trying to portray her as an Egyptian seductress. And here I have a model of Theda Bara's room, and on the left you can see her wardrobe where she had a lot of skimpy clothing, and on the right you can see her bronze bangles, which she wore all the time, and her marriage proposals, because she got a lot of marriage proposals from men. And the vampire role was basically a reflection of what society thought at the time about emancipated women and women gaining rights. So society was afraid of women gaining rights, but was also kind of attracted to it, which is how the vampire role was created. In 1915, Theda Bara was approached by a director to star in his film A Fool There Was as a vampire, and the role was to get this man to fall in love with her, and then she was going to take everything he owned. And this movie was based off of The Vampire, which was a poem by Rudyard Kipling. And because of this movie, she gained overnight success. And in my model, you can see I have some of her famous movie posters like Cleopatra, Salome, and A Fool There Was. And from 1915 to 1921, she starred in over 40 films, it's great because we have a lot of content that we can go back and watch her in and kind of see her in her element, right? Well, it turns out in 1937, there was a fire in her film company's movie vault, and almost all of her movies burned to ash. So, except for one or two, we can't see any of her movies anymore. So, in the late 1920s, Theda Bara tried to break out of the role of being a vampire, but she was unable to do so because society didn't want to see the vampire any longer, and she lost popularity. Because of that, she was essentially forced to retire, and she married a director, settled down, and died in 1955 due to cancer. And yeah, that's the end of the presentation. So now I'm just going to go back and kind of point out some things that I did. So starting over here, you can see I have a lot of images, no words, because words clutter up your slides and images are kind of more engaging to the viewer. And some of the images I took and just kind of cropped them, put them in this slide, and enlarged them and pointed to specific parts that I want to talk about, like her eyes and her makeup. You want to do this so that you're basically pointing out what you want the viewer to look at. And when you're actually presenting, you want to make sure you use up all the space you have. So when I presented this, I kind of pointed in to the board and to her eyes and her lips to show her dark makeup. And this is under in the rubric. It's body language. So make sure it says makes use of physical movements to enhance presentation. So make sure you're pointing to stuff and just trying to be more engaging to your audience. And I did the same thing over here. Here I made a model of her room to kind of help me remember what I want to talk about, because the main things in this room are her movie posters, her dresser, and her closet. So her closet makes me remember I have to talk about her clothing. Movie posters make me remember, oh yeah, I have to talk about how many films she's done. And the dresser reminds me, oh yeah, the marriage proposals. So sometimes having a model helps you remember stuff that otherwise having a slide with a bunch of images wouldn't. So that's what I did. And this can also get you the points for going above and beyond, for the additional 4 points. If you try to be more creative, you can get that part of the rubric. And then I have more images over here. And then, like I said before, I had these movie posters to try to get into my next topic, which was about the fire. And I used like a little GIF here just to make it a little more interesting, kind of spice up the presentation. I also tried to add a little humor here because, like, foreshadowing, kind of funny, right? Maybe it's not. I don't know. But yeah, that's what I did here. And then last slide, I added a gravestone over here and the zodiac sign for Cancer so that it reminded me, oh yeah, she died of cancer. And yeah, that's basically it. Some things I want to go over. Make sure you practice a lot so that you don't have likes and ums like I'm doing right now. um, I would suggest practicing with your family. Like, I got my sister to sit down and time me while I was talking, and she could tell me like what slides I was spending too much time on and things like that. Because when you have somebody that doesn't know your topic, they can let you know if you're missing out on something, missing out on context, or just staying on one topic too long. Make sure your information is accurate. I hope that goes without saying. Research a lot. Put time into this presentation. Try to be unique with maybe doing a model, trying to go above and beyond. Try not to add any words if you can. And practice a lot so that you can get it under 3 minutes. And you want to try to memorize what you're trying to say, because it's okay if you don't have it memorized for the first presentation, but it's a good thing to have it memorized because it's only a 2 to 3 minute presentation, and you'll be able to kind of look at the audience when you're talking, and that gives an air of confidence. And yeah, make sure you look at the audience, use up all the space that you have, and try to be confident. I get really nervous, super nervous when I'm presenting, but once you practice again and again, it starts getting a little easier. So make sure you practice a lot. And yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you so much for watching.